All right. Thought I'd give you a little gospel thing happening there, just to brighten up your day. That's Ray Bryant and the Ray Bryant Trio with Gotta Travel On. Bryant is on piano, Ray Drummond is on bass, Kenny Washington on drums, and special guest Hugh McCracken on harmonica. This is from Ray Bryant's 1999 album, Ray Bryant Plays the Blues. This is Leid Stories. I'm Utrice Leid. And I thought, of course, we'll kind of go back to what happened yesterday at the Democratic National Convention. Some serious thoughts on my end about what we are witnessing. I wonder whether you think so too. You know, when these things happen, these national events, we already are primed to go with or to interpret the situation as presented. It can't possibly be more or different from what we are presented. And of course, it always is. Almost always this is the situation. And we always have to keep in mind that we have to be on the lookout, because that is where the story is. Anytime any party does anything, I usually, I step back, actually. I don't jump in. I step back every time to get the bigger picture. You get better perspective that way, I think, when you see the situation in full dimension, and you pick up on different parts of it. And it's a way of training yourself to almost ignore the obvious, because that's what they want you to see. They want you to see the obvious. They want you to relate to the obvious and well-choreographed event, but they don't want you to go beyond that. So that's where we're naturally going to go today. If you've watched the convention and the speakers of the convention, what are you getting out of this? What would you say if you were sent as a reporter to the convention? What would you report as the main events, or what the convention was about, or what we should understand the convention to be? Let's get right to it. 888-874-4888 is the number to call. 888-874-4888. What do you think you would report? We will come back to this. This is just, we're not doing the subject and then we're leaving it and going away, because it fits into a larger picture that few are inclined to study, and yet that's where we find the importance and the symbolism of an event like this. A party, an established party, one of the ruling parties in the United States, is going through its ritual of bringing people together and to discuss, to put on the table before us all issues that they think are very, very important to consider as the society as a whole moves forward in this space and in this time. What do you think of the issues that they are presenting to us for consideration? why are we? Why is our attention directed in a particular way? And from what you gather, what therefore is the intention of the party in bringing our attention to these particular issues the way they are doing it? 888-874-4888. I must tell you that I've never been excited really about conventions because I think, number one, they are manufactured to be interpreted in a particular way. And we generally have the news media going along with that request that they report on conventions in a particular way. But here in this moment, when we have many, many aspects to our lives right now as a nation, we are experiencing all kinds of things. To what degree is a convention taking into consideration these things, and what do they hope to do with them? I mean, what is the point of it? What are they raising these points for? I want to know from you, when you look at the convention and the issues that are brought forward for our consideration, people giving speeches and all of that stuff, what is the point of it? Let's see how close we can get to a spot-on analysis today. 888-874-4888. We have no takers yet. That's not like you. I was thinking you'd be rushing at it. Henry from Chicago, you're on the air.
Hey, Trees, how's it going?
Okay.
All right. I will try to get as close to the answer as possible. I can't promise you that I will answer it, but I'll try to get as close. I guess you brought up the question, if I was a reporter reporting on this, and I would say I'm trying to objectively that this is an eerie convention. And I say eerie because of the fact that it's online. And majority of the purpose of conventions, I've talked to people who actually been to, conventions like the Democrat and Republican. And when I get their experiences from it, it's more of a connection type of things. A lot of things happen in the background outside of these speeches that these presenters have. But, a lot of stuff that we don't know about or is not reported is actually happening at these conventions. So that would be my reporting on it. This is an odd one, but I guess as far as the messaging with what happened today, and this is only day one of it, and I'm hoping they address it because I think the Democrats are doing too much. They're saying a lot of the things that a lot of the voters don't really need to be hearing. Like for example, yesterday Michelle Obama, spoke, and she talked about, Donald Trump, and, the Democrats have this message of, everybody but Donald Trump. That's why you have to vote for Joe Biden, which, in some places, many people are not going to accept that. But then she starts talking about how Donald Trump got into office because a lot of people didn't vote. Now, honestly, to me, that's kind of like vote shaming, because, and this is kind of like their messaging. This election should be lopsided. I mean, it shouldn't even really be a contest. I mean, we have a nihilist in the White House right now, and there are millions of people out there who are just finding a reason not to vote for him. But it just seems like the Democrats are just not. They're making this contest much harder than what it should be. and this is why I actually say that Donald Trump is going to win, because the Democrats are not going to they're not going to lose to Donald Trump. They're going to lose themselves. So this messaging that they're having with blaming non-voters for not voting and all kind of stuff. All they have to do is just put the record out there of what Donald Trump has done in the last 3 years and let the record speak for itself. That's all they have to do.
You're onto something here, Henry, because I have an opinion that's kind of close to yours, and you put it in the sense that they're doing too much. What do you think is fueling that kind of reaction of doing too much at the start?
You know me. I am still learning politics. I'm still trying to understand this political game. But many people, especially people in the Leid Stories audience and you, Treese, how close together these two parties are. And maybe they're just, I don't know, maybe there's just a sense of the Democrats not wanting to win this election as far as the White House race. Maybe they might be saving it for the midterm. I don't know. But it's just very confusing to me to see the Democrats operate like this when this should be a one-sided race. But, like I said, they are making it, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but they are just making it harder than what it should be. I mean,
you're right on top. Wait a minute now. I got to tell you this,
okay,
because I didn't expect it to be the first call, but you're right on top of a very, very, very important point. Except you're not actually articulating it. Mm-hmm. But the point that you're making, which is very important, is we come away with a sense that they don't know why they're talking to us. But they're not talking to us, they're talking at us. Mm-hmm. They're talking at us. And this is very important to understand because it leads down to many other roads. The Democrats have reached a point where they basically don't know what to say to their constituency. What do they say?
They don't need to say anything. Let the record speak for itself. I mean, 300,000 people died from this coronavirus because of the mishandling of the administration. That's all they need to say.
All right. You see, sometimes the answers are so obvious that we can't see them, and they can't see them. They're not hearing it. But this is a fundamental problem here in this time, where people are supposedly talking to us, but they're really just talking at us. They are operating on the premise like we can't figure this out. That it's so complex it will go over our heads, and therefore they stand a great chance of the simpletons like us. We can't figure out what we ought to be thinking. Mm-hmm. We can't figure it out.
Yep.
And they're terrified. This is the other part of the issue. They're terrified of telling us the truth. So they're dancing around it. And hopefully by itself it will come out. But they're not saying anything that we don't already know or we don't already expect them to say.
Exactly.
You hit it on the hit this nail on the head, Henry. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks a lot. 888-874-4888. Ed from Jamaica, you're on the air.
Hey, Trace, how are you?
Okay. How are you reacting to this thing called this convention?
Well, I believe you know how I feel about this whole, for want of a better word, political system to begin with. I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party, our elected officials, have lost touch with the common people. They don't know what we want, or they can't see what we want, blinded by greed, avarice, self-gratification, being encapsulated in the Washington bubble, because I worked in Washington a few years when I was in the Army, and the Beltway is a totally different world from what happens in reality. And now the separation of the two is a vast crevasse. It's deeper than the Marianas Trench. And these people just don't get it. They can't. I mean, they have an easy win if they wanted to have one. But I don't even think they want to win, to be totally honest with you. I mean, the strategy, the approach is just totally, it lacks sense. Now is the time for bold ideas. Now is the time for radical changes. And the people are ready for it. The country is ready for it. But these politicians are not. And they're not presenting anything other than, oh, we got to get rid of Trump. Oh, we got to get rid of Trump. I mean, and what? What are you going to do? What are you going to replace this with? A negative as another negative doesn't equal a positive. You're not presenting anything. Conventions are to shore up platforms, to finish up backroom deals, and to rally the party to a goal, to express the party's platforms, to rally the party to the goal of winning this election based on these platforms, based on this is what our constituency wants, based on this is what we're going to do for your vote. And that's politics 101. I'm not going to vote for you unless you're going to do something for me, basic. And nobody's putting that out. Not the Fab Four, whatever you want to call them. AOC is giving her vote without even, and in the article in the New York Times in April the 14th acknowledges that Biden didn't even talk to her. This is ridiculous. I mean, and sad to say, like I said, I think they want Trump to win. I think they're totally happy with his performance and keeping the status quo, because this is a failed state and it's on the verge of collapse, and everybody's just in it to get what they can get for themselves and fiddle while Rome burns.
Now, people would say, what you're saying is exactly what is the matter with current politics. We have people who are so critical, they don't have anything to offer, they're just criticizing.
Well, I mean, what I can have made several. I can make offers. My thing is local. You've got to. This system is wrong, and it cannot be repaired. At a national level, it cannot be repaired. There's too much money. There's too much monetary and business and industry influence. There's too much self-aggrandizing on a national level to even appeal to anyone. We got to get hyper-local, and we got to organize, and we got to reinvest in community, because that's where it starts. You look at the Hasidic community, look at the Chinese community, look at even the old Italian community. It starts with the people. The politicians should be afraid of the people, and they're not. The politicians should be afraid of the people because it's a public service. That's what you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be a superstar. You're not supposed to be some type of public figure. You're a public servant. You're there to do a job with people and represent the people that you claim are your constituents. And these people are not doing it.
So you're not falling for anything so far. You're not falling for anything so far that has been presented as a viable reason to have a convention?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a convention. Well, first of all, I mean, the main thing out of the convention is the physicality. A convention is a rallying point. It has been in historically, politically speaking. We get together. We've got our platform. We've got our candidate. We've got our constituency. We're going to show a strong force. We're going to make some rallying speeches, some motivating speeches, and we're going to move forward and we're going to win this election. This is just hey, you got to vote for us because this guy sucks. You know what I mean? You got to vote for us because this guy's no good. You're not saying why. What are you going to do? What is your alternative to this? Biden said it himself. Things are not going to change by much. Biden said it himself. Things are not going to change. He's not for free health care. He's not for a UBI. He said things are not going to change. This is a status quo. This is a status quo candidate against really another status quo candidate. Because as radical as you think Trump is, look at his political. Look at the legislative record. Look at what's passed. Look defense contracts, the NDA. Look at what he's gotten. I mean, for Pelosi and Schumer to be so against him, everything that he wanted passed is passed. So I mean,
all right.
Outlandish.
I hope they're listening. I hope they're listening because we will be on this subject for a while. I mean, this isn't going away tomorrow. We'll be on this subject for a while. But thank you for breaking it down the way you usually do. Thanks so much. E from Edgewater, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Yatrice.
Hello, how are you doing? What are you thinking so far about what is happening, that they're calling a convention?
Yeah, what I'm thinking is the same thing like last election. You had a guy, Bernie Sanders, that everybody loved, and he gets thrown to the side. Does anybody know who Hillary Clinton picked for vice president last time, in the last election? I don't think if you asked 100 people, maybe one person might know who it was. Now, it seems to me this is a game, and the object of the game is to get elected, to get your guy elected. And in order to do that, you want to put your best ticket out there. And to me, the best ticket would have been Biden and Bernie, not Biden and Camilla. So it seems to me they're not really trying to win. Don't you think Bernie and Biden would be the best ticket they could put forward to the Democratic Party?
I have from soup to nuts, I have an entirely different point of view, I'm afraid to say. And I want to hear what people are saying first. But I want to be able to present an entirely different point of view. We've all been conned. We've all been conned. We've all been had. And it will not, I don't want to throw cold water on what people are thinking right now, but it's important to hear what you're thinking, and then we'll get to what I'm thinking and what we ought to be thinking at a later date, because this is going to have long-term effect. But really, I'm beyond the business of elective politics. I really am. I understand it differently. I don't have great emotions about it, except that we are waiting way too long to analyze things differently. We're still analyzing things the old-fashioned way, and we will get we keep getting what we've been getting. Are you there, E?
Yes, I'm here, Yatrice. Are you asking me for a response?
Yes.
In other words, the point I made about Bernie Sanders is not valid. I mean that's where I'm coming from. To me, it seems like a no-brainer that he should be the vice president candidate because he's got the most experience.
He dropped out. He decided to drop out of the race for reasons that we still don't know. It might have had to do with his health. We don't know. But he did drop out. So you can't be.
Yeah, but they have him in the ring now. They have him in the ring speaking out about different things. They're using him, but they're not using him in the right way. So in other words, this is the part he's supposed to play, just like last time, just to gather up people and then just leave him out in limbo. And he's got a lot. I mean, who brings more to the table, Kamala Harris or Bernie? I know it's an issue that's not going to happen. So why am I bringing it up? I'm just trying to point out that it doesn't seem to me that they really want to win this election. And like I said from the start, Trump's in there for 8 years. And that's the way it's going to be because everything is going perfect for the rich people with having Trump as the president. So why change things up? Just make it look like you're trying to beat the guy and you're this way and that way, but you're not really trying to do it. So we're going to be left in the same place as last time, out in limbo, and Donald Trump will be elected again. And then we'll have 4 more years of the man's insane and the man's this and the man's that. It's just ridiculous. And I'm like thinking about moving to Alaska or something. Get the hell out of here.
I don't know if that's going to solve the problem, but you may feel a little bit better in Alaska than where you are right now in Edgewater. Thanks so much for calling in and contributing
thank
today.
You, dear. Thank you.
David from Brooklyn, you're on the air.
I've been thinking about this, and here's what comes to my mind. We're in a situation living in this quasi-democracy. It's really a plutocracy. And I say quasi-democracy because I think it's important for people to know that you don't have any viable political parties other than the one uniparty broken up into divisions. And I think that's important to know. And the main thing that I think people should get through their head is that whether the Trump wins or Biden wins, the people lose. The people lose no matter who comes forth. Because the ruling class that controls these 2 divisions of the uniparty are not there to serve the so-called people. Their real constituency are the people that control the parties, the rich and the powerful, the less than 1%, and the people are there, and they're allowed to go through this quasi-democracy election every once in a while to think that they have real democracy, but no matter who wins, they lose. So we have to keep that in mind that, that's our situation. At all levels, national, state, and local, the ruling class controls. And people have to get that through their head and see it clearly that those in power at the top run everything and keep a significant number of the people poor, and that's important to see. So, that's the way I look at it, and I talk about those things on Brother David Who Speaks on YouTube, and I think it's important for people to really analyze what's going on and not continuing with doing the same thing over and over and over again. So that's the way I think about it, and I think that it's very sad that people are kept so uninformed or ignorant about how this place really runs. Also, I'm thinking about Bernie and Warren and how the ruling class was very smart in letting both of those people play sheepdog to get people together, but they were not trusted to the point or vetted to the point where they would have been acceptable at all to be a candidate for the Democrat Party. So that was out. They're not as slick as Obama, and he was vetted, and they saw that he would be a good comprador type of person to corral the black folks and be acceptable to some of the white folks. And, he could be trusted to get that position as president. The ruling class, as I see it, they can stop anyone that they want from getting that far. So they would never let Warren or Bernie get to the point of having that nomination. So that's the way I see it. So, it's very difficult for people to understand the system because you're subjected to the media and schools and all of that to train you to go along with this so-called they try to call it a democratic system, democratic, and it's in no way democratic whatsoever in the world.
Are you surprised that you're actually saying this? Are you surprised at all that you've come to this conclusion?
No. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I think it's important. Most people can't get there. They've been so well trained, as I say, not educated. So most people are at the point where they actually believe in a system that really is not designed to benefit them. And I'm talking about from the start when the Constitution was started. The slave owners who formed the Constitution, as I see it, they were not setting up a Constitution where to serve the needs of the masses of people in this country, after they have, done the genocide of the indigenous people and whatnot. They were making a constitution that they could keep a check on the masses of people. And, we're still suffering from that today. That's why they have most of the money and we don't. So, people need to start thinking about things like this that never have been thought about much in the past because you're trained so well to, salute the flag, play the Star-Spangled Banner, and talk about patriotism, send your children to get involved in imperial wars, to go and kill folks, especially brown and black folks, and, possibly be killed yourself or injured, and that makes you patriotic. We deify military people, and, we train so well that we support a system that is not interested in the masses of people. The system is designed and very effective in serving the interests of that small fraction at the top that really control everything, including those two divisions of the uniparty, and making sure that there's no viable party of any sort that would challenge the uniparty that we have, which is the Republican and Democrat group in that one party having the same mission to serve the interests of the ruling class.
Well, thank you very much, David. Well said. You know, it boggles the mind, and this is where I am right now. I haven't made a big deal about it, but I can't understand. Well, I do. I understand. But it is such a jarring concept that in 2020, we haven't formed. There isn't now enough of a groundswell at the basic level of people who see things as clearly as I'm hearing them expressed today. We have to create something different. This is not working. You know, I listened to Michelle Obama's speech. It's fraught with all kinds of emotion, and you know, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Because in the end, we know this is all about manipulating people emotionally. And, you know, they carry the same themes all the time, those who have suffered, so that we may be more free. Yes, they have suffered, and no, we are not more free. So instead of waxing philosophic about things that we ought to know better, we ought to know these things better and why they are being used to get into our heads and to make it appear as if this was what politics was all about. No, it is the aggregation of power, the decision as to who will have some of it, and under what conditions and for how long. And it is highly regulated. None of this comes about because people are having a convention. The conventions that we need to have are our neighborhood conventions, where we have Ed from Jamaica who talks about taking things locally, intensifying local involvement, and taking control of that which you can control. We have to reconfigure this whole thing and throw out those things that have been given enough testing and delivering enough proof that they don't work. That these things are just to calm us down and to get us distracted. They have nothing to do with our benefit and our future. And we should just throw them overboard. They're not useful. They're not useful to us. And we should openly declare that. You know, you're on this earth for so many years, you need to tell me that we keep going back every 4 years to get the same message, and we think that something is happening. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening that benefits the masses of people. That is not happening. So we are deluding ourselves into thinking, well, there's momentum, there's a move, and it's in the right direction. So far, nothing is moving in the right direction. Not at all. 888-874-4888. As you have observed this process so far, and this is why we pause and we take our time analyzing things, because that is the education that we need. Forget what they say. Let us understand what it truly means, because it will involve us inevitably. Our resources, our time, our brains, they're all going to be involved. They're under attack right now, and the effort is to make it appear not to be so. So we have to get an entirely different orientation about politics and how it literally impacts our lives every single day. And we shouldn't fall for the okey doke. But indeed, every election year, we fall for the okey doke. It is guaranteed that it's coming. And when you analyze it, you'd see it hasn't changed. Not one bit. It has not changed. It's the same appeal. It's the same tactic. It is to stall your advancement and growth. It is to keep you still. It is to thwart any progress that, as a group, that we are likely to make. And when you look at who is delivering the message, you say, but that can't be Michelle Obama. That can't. They're talking. They're not talking to us. They're talking about concepts and very complicated things that we should listen to. These people have achieved in life. Surely they don't mean us any harm. Surely they understand the need for us to get a handle on what is happening. And so we let our guard down and we pay attention to what they're saying. And they're not saying anything that can help us. They're not moving us along. These are platitudes. These are sayings and lectures that are meant to placate us. Has nothing to do with the natural desire for progress and which we are entitled to. 888-874-4888. We still have a couple of slots for people wanting to call in. And we're going to come back to the subject time and again. I want you to I know it's annoying, but pay attention to what is being said, because this is the process of propaganda. This is how they are situating not only themselves but us as well to move away from the natural instinct to resist and to question. Willie from Brooklyn, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, beloved.
Good afternoon.
I respect you. Listen, I agree with just about everything you say. But I remember a couple of years ago, what really fascinates me is that some of us think they control the system. That's not correct. They control the minds of the people. Because for us to go along with this stuff, we have to be out of our minds. And I remember you telling us many years ago, and you've always told us not to let anybody tamper with our mind. And that's exactly what's being done. That is what the crime is. What they're doing, if we were in our right mind, we wouldn't allow this to happen. One caller said that when the politicians don't fear the people, you have tyranny. And that's what we have. I love you, my sister. Peace, all right?
Thank you. Thanks for calling in and contributing today. It is true. It's important. Your mind is your most important line of defense in almost every specific area you could think of. It's your mind. And we have had a barrage of people presenting for our consideration their thoughts, their ideas, and in fact, their teaching as to what we ought to examine and adopt as relevant information that we should be acting on and incorporating as we go. You have to really subject these things to some close scrutiny. because much of it has nothing to do with our welfare. Nothing to do with it at all. It's about control. Quiet as it's kept, and I'm going to give a talk about this, Trump has won. Trump and his minions and, the class he represents, they've already won. And what they're trying to do is to make it appear as if nothing really has changed. But you look and you see the details in which change has been so fundamental in the last couple of years. We barely recognize it. The power, the axis of power has definitively changed. But we are encouraged to still hold on to this notion that we are in struggle. No, we're not. We've lost. They've vanquished us. We are a vanquished people. We do not see evidence today of anything that we supposedly fought for that is operational and working well and working predictably to deliver those things that we wanted as a society. No. Trump has won, and we should understand that. There's been a dramatic change that has occurred, fundamental and dramatic. We don't even see it. And you would be surprised about the realignment that has occurred, in which, in the vanguard of this change, are faces that we know, people we trust or have trusted. Our guard is down. Our minds have been captured. I felt insulted, to be very honest about it, watching Michelle Obama yesterday speaking to people as if we have not one working brain cell in our heads. She's instructing us about working within the confines of a totally reconfigured reality. And what she is presenting as the reality we ought to work with is a reality that died years ago. The advent of Donald Trump is the advent of the new order. A new order, because there are a whole bunch of them. We haven't been able to figure out yet what this game is and how we should overcome this embarrassment about calling people out. We shouldn't be embarrassed. We should let them know we're onto them. And we are not participating in what our predictable role will be. The power has shifted. And with that, the gains, the enormous wealth, major shift in wealth, major shift in societal position. And we're still acting as if, well, we're involved. This is politics and we're involved. No, you're not. Because a whole new world is operating without our knowledge, without our participation. And it's designed to do exactly that. Even if Donald Trump at this point nominally loses He has already won. You see the moves that have been made, where the control systems now are, where the shifts have occurred. You can get a new face, but the fact is they've installed a new system that they understand very well and that they intend to last for a very long time. They're still talking silly stuff about freedom and democracy. When I say silly, I mean, when do we get the point? That we keep talking and they keep doing. And we cannot show for ourselves, we really can't show progress on anything that we defined as being important to us. We can't show progress, consistent progress. Even if, I go back to that, even if Trump loses, he has already won. His ideas have already won. His methodology has already won. People have embraced Trumpism as the new way to go. They got it. And in the only 2 or 3 or 4 years, they've installed it. It has become entrenched. And from now on till maybe another couple of 10, 20 years, they'll tinker with it and refine it. But it's already installed and working just the way they want it. We keep kidding ourselves that we're in a struggle. No, we are vanquished people. We've lost. We have lost this fight. And we lost it a while ago. There's a whole new thing happening at almost every level of our society. Who has power, who does not. Who owns things, who won't own anything. Whose ideas do we adopt? And which ideas must we jettison? Our very own ideas are no good anymore. This is what is happening. And of course, we are encouraged to question ourselves. Why do we want this thing called freedom? What is it anyway? We have put in place, we have installed a class system within our system. The black bourgeoisie is in charge, working cooperatively with our historical enemies to keep us deprived and to mislead us all. So that we think the biggest thing that we should achieve is to have a nice car. See? We have lost already. The only thing that we can do to ameliorate the situation is to try to find a way back to some place of stasis, stability that is solid. It's not going to be a big space, but we've got to find it again. We'll continue this discussion because people's eyes need to be opened. And we need to stop operating in the fog of propaganda and deception and deal instead with what our day-to-day realities are. Thank you so much, all of you who called in and contributed today. I am honored to have you in my company and for you to have me in your company. So let's meet up again tomorrow and continue the conversation. Bye-bye.